For this project, I'm going to need baby wipes. Now, where am I going to get that?
Dada's! That's a good one.
Nice. So first I designed the nameplate, which is going to have Cadia and 122nd, and then I kind of used the Cadian gate symbol and stretched it out. And then I had my friend print it out for me on his nice resin printer. First step here is getting a nice base coat of black down, just on the part that I want to be in white marble. So I'm only going to do the edges for that. So if I don't get the center, it doesn't really matter. I've totally primed everything already, so we're just going on the first coat of paint. I put some lighter gray spots on here that I don't really think did anything to the marbling. I think if I had just gone solid black, it would have worked just as well, if not better. Now the key here is to take your baby wipe and leave it out for a day or so till it becomes completely dry, and then stretch it to kind of pull apart the fibers so you get that marbly effect to come through. Now I have this set up like this, looks like it's covered in cobwebs, but I'm going to come in with one of my favorite off-white colors here, Sickly Skin. I'm going to give the whole thing a coat and kind of see where that gets me. Now, only some paint is going to come through here, and when I pull this off, I actually realized that it's not as much white as I thought would get through. So I had to kind of come in again, but this is a great start to the whole marbling effect. And we're going to come in here, and this is still wet. I didn't let this dry on there because you might end up getting the paint to kind of glue on your cobwebs, as it were. This is my first bit of marbling. Now, in all reality, this is really good, and you could probably just go just like this. Now, I'm just using air out of the airbrush and kind of giving it a bit of a dry here, so I can actually continue going. But I'm going to actually pull out a second baby wipe here and kind of stretch it out, and then go over the spots that are a little too black. I want a little bit more white in there, and then I'm just going to go in and put a little bit of texture here and a little bit of texture there until I get it to the place where I want it. And this is just one of those cool, slow processes where you can do as much or as little as you want until you get it where you want. If you ever end up messing up too much in one spot, you can always go back with black and then come back with the marbling. The fact that the marbling is such a random texture, you can't really tell where you've pulled off and redone spots and gone back. Now I have the white marble the way I want it. It's time to come in and tape this off. Now I'm going to use this awesome frog tape to do that. That will make sure that I don't pull off any of the paint that I already have on here, because I'm actually going to do a red marble behind where the Cadia 122nd is, kind of as an idea of making it look like the Eye of Terror itself. So I actually ended up using some like pinstriping paint from Vallejo to get all that inner edge, and just multiple layers of tape here. I wanted to make sure to get the inner edge as well, so that I actually had like a full white marble sitting on top of red marble look. That'll bring us back to the airbrush booth, and I actually did multiple coats here to try to build up this kind of dark red. I want less contrast for this marbling effect, but I still want it to be visible. And I threw some speckles of gold paint on here to kind of look like stars. The marbling ended up covering basically all of those, so I ended up doing this again in the end to kind of bring them back. But this way it kind of looks like space, kind of the whole Eye of Terror idea. Because of the text on this, I wasn't able to get the baby wipe all the way down, so I didn't get the texture that I was really looking for on the first pass. It kind of blocked the paint too much. So I was patient, and I took my time, and I ended up with something that I really liked. And that'll bring us to removing the tape to see all of the great contrast that we've actually achieved. And this came out really well. The tape did exactly what it needed to do, which is prevent paint from getting where I don't want it and not pull paint off when I pull the tape off. That's always a worry I have when I do this. Although I did have a few little troublemaker areas that I had to deal with. Now, I put a coat of polyurethane gloss varnish over the whole thing before I taped it up, and that allowed me to use mineral spirits to actually rub away the red paint that was over the white paint, because that varnish will actually protect from the mineral spirits. The last step here is to come in and get all of the text with this gold. Now this is the Vallejo Liquid Gold series paint. It's an alcohol-based paint, but for their liquid gold metallics, it is absolutely worth going out and getting 90% or higher isopropyl alcohol to thin and wash your brushes with. This stuff is amazing. Here's what I ended up with in the end. I gave it another coat of gloss varnish to kind of keep with the marble feel, and then I took it to a tournament. Now, I went to the Waystone Wargaming tournament. It was a 3-round tournament. I ended up tabling every single one of my opponents, but I only won 2 out of the 3 games. It was still a blast, and I missed Best Painted by 1 point, but I won't hold it against him. He did have a pretty army. And here's the army in all its glory. I'd like to thank my patrons, Drew, Joshua, Dominic, and Stefan. If you want to become a Patreon and get access to any of the 3D files that I have, including this nameplate, then the links are in the description. I hope you learned a cool new technique, and thanks for watching.